When was the last time that something surprised you? Do you remember what you did? Did you make a noise? Did you do anything with your body? Did you do anything with your face? My guess is if you were genuinely surprised, you probably did. Today we're going to be talking about how can we express surprise the next time that we need to speak in English. Guys, welcome back to Forward. We're all about trying to improve our communication skills with the use of poems. To guide you in this process, there is me. My name is Jeff. Let's take a look at our poem for today. This is going to appeal to anyone that's ever had to start the process of home ownership. I know that this speaks to our own experiences, at least for my wife and me. House hunting. I found the wasp nest empty outside. Now, we've read that right there pretty neutrally. So our goal today is to try to convey some surprise when we say this. Before we jump into that, I do want to just quickly talk about this ow sound. This is a diphthong. A diphthong is basically when you have two sounds that join together to make a single sound. And one of the things we're going to see in English is that one of the ways English is different than a lot of other languages is that when other languages use diphthongs, you can kind of clearly hear the shift from one sound to the other, like ow, ow, and you often get these very dramatic mouth movements. Whereas in American English, you can do that, but very often what happens instead is we squeeze everything together. So instead of saying like ow, you end up with just like ow, ow. Like imagine like that sound you make when you hurt yourself, like ow, that hurt. So couple words that have this ow sound from our poem. First of all, we have house. So for instance, like ow, how, house, ow, how, house. And in addition to that, we have the word found. It's like ow, ow, found, ow, ow, found. You want to be careful too. Don't shift the vowel right before the end. So it's not ow, ow-in. It's just ow, 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 found. And our very last word is outside, right? So ow, ow, outside, ow, out, outside. So paying attention to all of those sounds there. So if we're going to show surprise in our speech, then something that we need to consider is that, well, if something surprises us, then that means that there's other things that don't surprise us. So in fact, maybe we'll even sound a little bit bored to begin. So how can you show boredom? Well, maybe some things you can do, first of all, is you could sigh, maybe look around a little bit, or maybe you kind of just put your fist against your cheek. Okay, it's like all of these can be signs of boredom, disinterested, not really engaged. So maybe we can start that way. Okay, and if any of you have ever had to go through the process of buying a house, I think some of the things that happen a lot are, especially if you look at a lot of houses, is it can start to become a bit of a boring process because a lot of the houses start to kind of look the same, in all honesty. So let's start with maybe a sigh and then a fist against our cheek. So slightly leaning head and keeping things in addition to that. A lot of times with boredom, we get soft voice and maybe some lower pitches. So when we say house hunting, let's put all of that together. So house hunting. Then we can get to the climb towards surprise. So the next word is going to be that I found, right? So that's something that's a bit interesting because normally you don't find something. So you found, so maybe we start to pick things up and get a little bit surprised. So again, like house hunting. I found. Notice some things that happened there. We started to lift our head a little bit. I would encourage you to try to do that with me too. We raised the pitch a little bit. We went a little bit firmer. Compare like house hunting, a little soft there, right? Versus I found a little firmer. Okay. Then we can maybe get to the moment of full surprise, something that we really weren't expecting, maybe in a bad way, maybe in a good way. I think in this case, probably more negative. So what do we find? We find the wasp nest. A couple different ways we could show surprise here. I think the general commonality is going to be high pitch. So whatever we do, let's raise the pitch higher. In terms of some options that we have, you could go firmer. Wasp nest. Or conversely, you can go for the understatement. Maybe just a complete whisper. A wasp nest. Compare. A wasp nest. A wasp nest. What else am I doing? Raising the eyebrows. Maybe dropping the mouth a little bit wider. The other thing I'm doing is a quick gasp. Can you gasp for me? Maybe hopefully kind of tie in your body too. You can see with my hand. What am I doing with the hand? Kind of. So again, I found. Can you do that? I found. So again, notice that the head kind of pops up. Shoulders might drop. Gasp. And you can play around again if you want to whisper, if you want to go louder on the wasp nest. And then the last thing, maybe instead of surprise, maybe let's go to relief. We don't want to find a wasp nest that's full of wasps in our house. We're glad it's empty. So how can we show relief? One of the things you'll see a lot in like cartoons and things like that, which by the way, I think cartoons are great for studying because cartoons use a lot of exaggerated movements and things like that to convey the emotions. So they can give us ideas about what we can do with our own body language. Just toning it down a little bit. You know, we don't have to go like full forehead rub with relief, but maybe a little bit like, whew. And maybe just that sound like, whew. That is a sound, that like woo sound is a sound people use to show that they're relieved. Or maybe it'll say things like, oh, thank God. Or maybe just a sigh where it's just like, ah. Compare that to a gasp, right? Like, versus, ah. Compare again. Versus, ah. Two different sounds that convey two different emotions. The first one again, surprise. The second one, more relief. Okay. So let's maybe go with that. Ah. And then maybe we'll stay soft afterwards. Empty outside. Okay, let's put all of that together for our poem. Okay, so we have boredom, house hunting. Then we get a little bit of surprise. House hunting. I found the wasp nest. Empty outside. Okay, let's put that all together. House hunting. I found the wasp nest. Empty outside. All right, so again, conveying surprise, relief, practicing some of our vowel sounds with that ow. Which part of that did you find most difficult? Did you use some other techniques to convey some of those emotions? I would love to hear about it in the comments. We'll see you in the next episode of Forward.